My ex-mother-in-law showed up to my daughter's birthday party uninvited. She handed her a card that read, "One day you'll understand who really cared." Inside was a check for $10,000. I was furious. She knew I couldn't match that. Later that week, I found out my daughter had opened a bank account with her, and was already planning to move in. I checked the fine print. My ex's name was listed as guardian. No one asked me. But I'm the custodial parent. And now I'm taking back full legal control. I don't even know how to start this, except to say that I've been quiet too long. I've tried to stay civil. I've tried to keep things calm for my daughter's sake. But what happened last month lit a fire in me, and I'm done playing nice. I live in Spokane, Washington. My daughter Ellie just turned 10. I've been her primary parent since the divorce 4 years ago. Her dad, Mark, dipped out the same year we signed the papers. Moved back in with his mother, Sharon, and has been more of a holiday dad ever since. Birthdays? Sometimes. Christmas? If he remembers. But day to day? I've handled every scrape, every science project, every tear. I've worked 2 jobs, bartending weekends and doing admin at a small HVAC company during the week. We're not rich, but Ellie's got a stable home. She shares a room with my boyfriend's kid right now because we're trying to save for a bigger place, but we're making it work. Sharon's never liked me. That's not bitterness, that's fact. From day one she saw me as trouble. I wasn't good enough for her son. I didn't grow up in the same church as them. I had a job instead of being a stay-at-home wife. And after the divorce? She treated me like I'd personally failed her. But I've never kept her from Ellie. I didn't want to be that mom. I let Sharon visit when she asked. I let her take Ellie to lunch a few times a year. I even let Ellie stay the night once when I was sick. But lately, Sharon's been trying to wedge herself in more and more. And I think it all led to what happened on Ellie's birthday. We had the party in our backyard. Nothing fancy. Some folding chairs, balloons, my boyfriend grilled burgers, we had a piñata and an ice cream cake. Ellie was having fun. Everything was going great until I saw Sharon walking up the driveway with a gift bag and that smug expression she always wears. She didn't ask to come. Didn't RSVP. Just showed up. I took a deep breath, decided not to make a scene. Figured maybe she brought a doll or a book, something harmless. I watched her walk straight to Ellie, hug her, and hand her a pale pink envelope. Ellie opened it, read the front of the card out loud, "One day you'll understand who really cared." Everyone went quiet. The adults looked at each other. My heart sank. Inside was a check, for $10,000. Ellie screamed with joy. Held it up like she'd won the lottery. "Look what Grandma gave me." I was frozen. People started whispering. My friend Kim gave me a look like, "What the hell is this?" I walked over, gently took the check from Ellie's hand, and told her to go get another slice of cake. Then I pulled Sharon to the side near the fence. "What are you doing?" I asked, trying to keep my voice low. "It's a gift," she said, like I was being unreasonable. "I want her to have a future." Without asking me? Do you think this is okay? Giving a 10-year-old 10 grand at her own party without talking to me first? She smiled. She deserves more than what you can offer. And she'll see that one day. That's when I knew. This wasn't about generosity. This was about control. I told her to leave. She acted all offended, but she left. Ellie asked why Grandma had to go and I just said she had an appointment. I didn't want to ruin the day. But the next few days? That's when everything started falling into place. I came home from work one night and found Ellie sitting at the kitchen table, grinning down at something in her hands. It was a debit card. She told me Sharon had taken her to open a bank account. "It's in my name," she said proudly. "I'm saving for college." I was stunned. "When did you go to the bank?" "Yesterday. After Grandma picked me up from school." I didn't know she'd been picked up. Sharon wasn't on the approved list. My boyfriend was supposed to get her. I sat down, logged into my email. No notice. No permission slip. No mention of any bank account. I asked for the bank's name and called them the next morning. After sitting on hold for 20 minutes, I got someone who confirmed that an account had been opened in Ellie's name, with my ex, Mark, listed as the adult guardian. Sharon wasn't listed. I wasn't either. My heart dropped. I'm the custodial parent. Full residential custody. Legal decision-making is mine. My ex gets 1 weekend a month, when he shows up. But now, he's listed as the financial guardian of an account I didn't authorize? I started looking deeper. I checked Ellie's text messages. Yeah, I know it's not great parenting etiquette, but something felt off. I needed to know what was being said. What I saw made me sick. Texts from Sharon, dating back months. Your mom doesn't want you to have nice things. At our house, you'd have your own space. Your dad and I just want what's best. When you're older, you can choose where you live. You won't be stuck anymore. I took screenshots. Every single one. I sent them to my lawyer. Then I sat down and asked Ellie about it. Played it casual. What's this about choosing where you want to live? She didn't even hesitate. Grandma said if I want to move in with them next year, she can help me. She did? Yeah. They said there's a school down there with music classes, and I could get my own room, and I wouldn't have to share anymore. I asked if she wanted that. She just shrugged. Said she didn't know. Said it sounded nice. That night, I cried in the shower. This wasn't just about the money. Sharon was trying to steal my daughter. Slowly. Carefully. Legally. And Mark? He was clearly in on it. He's got no job, no house of his own, and now suddenly he wants to be a dad again? I wasn't going to let this happen. I set up a meeting with Mark. Told him we needed to talk about Ellie. He agreed, probably thinking I was going to cave or beg. We met at a diner near Airway Heights. He showed up late, sunglasses on, reeking of weed. Sat down like he didn't have a care in the world. I got right to the point. Why'd you sign off on the bank account? He shrugged. Sharon thought it'd be good for her. You don't have legal custody. You're not allowed to make those decisions. He laughed. It's not a big deal. It is when a check that size is involved. It is when it's being used to lure her away from me. He rolled his eyes. You always overreact. I pulled a folder from my bag. Inside were the texts. The bank documents. A copy of our custody agreement. The whole paper trail. I'm taking this to court, I said. His face went blank. I'm filing for full legal custody. No visitation without supervision. And I want your mother barred from contact unless approved by a judge. You're insane, he muttered. I stood up. We'll see what the court thinks. That was 2 weeks ago. Since then, I've been collecting everything. I found out Sharon also enrolled Ellie in a piano class in her town without asking me. Signed her up using Mark's name. That's more legal overreach. My lawyer's building the case. Ellie doesn't know everything yet. I'm trying to protect her from the storm. But I'm not playing nice anymore. They tried to buy her. Manipulate her. Turn her against me. They messed with the wrong mom. So I thought I was going to beat them to the punch. I had everything ready, my lawyer was filing for full legal custody, plus a motion to block Sharon from direct contact. But last Friday, something happened that made my stomach turn. I came home from work and found a thick envelope taped to my front door. At first I thought maybe it was just some delivery thing, but then I saw the return address, a law firm in Liberty Lake. Inside? Custody papers. Mark had filed for joint custody. Not just visitation, joint custody. Claiming that I was neglectful, unstable, and obstructing the child's relationship with her father and paternal grandmother. I nearly threw up. He claimed Ellie expressed a desire to live part-time with him. That my boyfriend's kid was violent. That my financial situation put Ellie's needs at risk. There were photos of our shared room, framed to look like she was crowded. He even used screenshots from my own social media, pulling up some stupid post I made about being exhausted and joking that I needed a bottle of wine and a week of silence. It was like reading a twisted version of my life. And worst of all? It had Sharon's fingerprints all over it. The motion said that they wanted Ellie to start transitioning into a shared time arrangement this summer, 2 weeks with mom, 2 weeks with dad. They were serious. They were actually trying to take her. I called my lawyer in a panic. She told me to breathe. Said we were still ahead, if we could prove manipulation, financial coercion, and show that the neglect claims were manufactured. So we got to work. We subpoenaed the bank that opened Ellie's account. It took some doing, but eventually we got the paperwork showing that Mark signed as guardian without my consent. We also got text records from Sharon to Ellie with timestamps, some of which clearly show Sharon coaching her to say you want to live with us. That was huge. Then came the school. Turns out Sharon had already sent them Ellie's records, claiming there was a move-in process. Without telling me. That was another violation. But here's where it got worse. Ellie started acting different. She got more distant. Quieter. One night, I overheard her talking to Sharon on the phone, whispering in the hallway. She says I can't go. She's mad all the time. I walked out and asked her what she meant. She just froze. Said she didn't want to talk. That night, I cried again. Not just out of frustration, but because I realized they'd gotten into her head. They were turning her against me, piece by piece. But the next morning, I sat her down. I told her the truth. I told her that Grandma and Dad weren't telling the full story. That they were making decisions without me. That giving someone money doesn't always mean they love you more. She started crying too. I showed her some of the messages. I let her see what was really going on. And finally, she hugged me and said, I don't want to live there. I just didn't know how to say no. That's when I knew I still had a shot. But I had to move fast. The hearing is in 3 weeks. Sharon thinks she's winning. Mark thinks he's pulling off the comeback of the century. But I've got everything ready. And they don't know what's coming. If you thought Sharon was manipulative before, just wait. This past week took everything to a whole new level. 3 days after we got the hearing date, my lawyer called me and asked, do you know anyone named Sharon Callahan? I almost laughed. Yeah, I said. That's my ex-mother-in-law. She sighed. She showed up at my office. My heart sank. I asked, did she try to threaten you? No, my lawyer said. She tried to pay me. That's right. Sharon waltzed into my lawyer's office and tried to negotiate. Said if we dropped the motion for full custody and agreed to a mutual timeshare arrangement, she'd make it worth everyone's while. She offered to donate to my lawyer's firm. Even hinted that there might be a trust waiting for Ellie if I played nice. My lawyer, bless her, hit record the second Sharon started talking. And now we've got it on tape. She was smart. Didn't say anything too direct. But there's enough in there to show intent. And enough to bury her credibility. We're submitting the recording to the judge next week. But that's not all. Remember how I said Ellie had been acting strange? Well, last weekend, she went to stay with Mark for his monthly visitation. Court ordered, so I couldn't block it. I told her to keep her phone with her. To call me if anything felt weird. She didn't call. Sunday night, they were supposed to meet me at the drop-off spot by 6 p.m. I got there at 5:45 and waited. And waited. At 6:10, I texted Mark. Nothing. At 6:30, I called. Straight to voicemail. By 6:45, I was panicking. I called the police. A missing child report was opened within the hour. I had the custody paperwork on me. They took it seriously. At 7:22, I got a text from Mark, relax. She's with us. We're just spending extra time. He didn't say where. Didn't ask for permission. Didn't tell me ahead of time. Police flagged it as a custodial interference violation. They went to Sharon's house and found Ellie there, in pajamas, watching TV like it was just another Sunday night. They brought her out, confused, asking why she couldn't stay the extra night. Mark showed up a few minutes later, trying to act like it was a misunderstanding. The officer told him flat out. You violated your custody agreement. That's a crime. Now there's a police report. Another piece of evidence. I hugged Ellie so hard when I got her back that night. She didn't understand what was happening. I could tell Sharon had told her not to worry. That Mom would be fine. That grown-ups make too big a deal out of little things. This isn't just petty anymore. This is a coordinated attempt to override my rights. But here's the thing, they're sloppy. And I'm done playing catch-up. My lawyer's filing to expedite the hearing. We're pushing to present everything, bank records, school interference, the attempted bribe, the police report. Even letters from Ellie's counselor, who says these games are starting to mess with her emotionally. Sharon and Mark wanted to play dirty? They're about to see what happens when the truth finally comes out. The court date was set for April 25th at the Spokane County Courthouse. I didn't sleep for 2 nights before it. I kept waking up in the dark, panicking that I'd forgotten something. That I didn't have enough. That somehow, they'd win. But I wasn't just fighting for myself. I was fighting for Ellie. And I showed up ready. Mark looked smug when I walked in. He wore a wrinkled blazer like he was playing dress-up. Sharon sat beside him like it was her trial. Her arms were crossed the whole time, like the outcome was already settled. My lawyer and I had everything organized. We had the text messages printed and highlighted. The screenshots. The subpoenaed bank documents. The school forms Sharon submitted behind my back. The audio recording of her trying to donate to my lawyer. The police report from the night they kept Ellie. The judge, an older man with tired eyes and a serious voice, didn't say much at first. But he paid attention. He took notes. He asked questions. Mark's lawyer tried to paint me as emotionally unstable. They brought up my social media posts. One where I joked about needing a mental break. Another where I talked about the stress of co-parenting. They even mentioned my boyfriend's son sharing a room with Ellie, trying to make it sound inappropriate. I sat there and listened. I didn't flinch. When it was my turn to speak, I told the truth. I told them how I'd raised Ellie nearly alone since she was 6. How Mark barely visited. How he was thousands behind on child support. How Sharon had pushed herself deeper and deeper into our lives, crossing every line. I read some of the texts out loud. Including the one where Sharon told Ellie, she doesn't know what's best for you. One day we'll fix this. Then I handed over the recording. Sharon's voice, calm as ever, saying, we're prepared to be generous if this goes away. You could feel the air shift in the courtroom. But the moment that sealed it? The officer's testimony. The one who responded when Mark didn't return Ellie on time. He said, under oath, Mr. Callahan knew the custody schedule. He was informed. He ignored it. That's why we documented the violation. Mark didn't have much to say after that. The judge took a recess before delivering his decision. It felt like forever. When he came back in, he looked straight at me first. I find that the mother has provided overwhelming evidence of custodial interference, manipulation, and misconduct by both the father and the paternal grandmother. Then he looked at Mark and Sharon. "Mr. Callahan, your behavior, especially involving the minor child's banking and educational matters, constitutes a serious breach of your limited custody rights. And Ms. Callahan, your involvement in those actions, including a potential attempt to improperly influence legal proceedings, has been noted. He granted me full legal custody." Mark's visitation was reduced to supervised visits only, no overnights. All future decisions, medical, educational, financial, were now mine alone. And the final blow? Sharon was formally barred from direct contact with Ellie for 2 years. No phone calls. No texts. No visits. If she violated it, she'd face criminal charges. She lost it in the hallway after the hearing. Called me a manipulative bitch. Screamed that I'd poisoned Ellie against her. That I was jealous. I just walked away. Because here's the truth, I was jealous, for a while. Of the money. The house. The way Ellie looked at Sharon like she was magic. But not anymore. Because love isn't a check. It's showing up, every single day. Ellie's back to herself now. Happier. Safer. She sleeps through the night again. And that $10,000? I let her keep it. But this time, I opened the new account. With me as the guardian. Her real guardian. For good.